plan of operations amendment for the King and North Trip dumps and tailing storage facility, an environmental impact statement, EIS. Process approved by the Board of County Commissioners on October 9, 2019, and/or for the process to prepare an environmental assessment titled, targeted, and prescriptive grazing of annual. This is the same thing, the annual grant for the BLM in the Great Basin ecosystem. Excuse me, I got confused with that last part because we just did the same thing on the.
That's right. At the last meeting, this board discussed appointing a liaison to work with the BLM regarding being cooperative agency for the mine EIS, and now perhaps this annual grasses EA. So the commission should discuss and choose a liaison for one or both of these projects.
In the last meeting, I mentioned that Lori had a lot of background from previous years on this, and that she might be a good person. I have no problem if anybody else wants it, but Lori has a lot of background on this, and it would be, should be, to me, a perfect liaison to this project.
Can you break this up into 2 votes, Mr. Chairman? And I'll
Sure.
abstain from the grazing one.
Okay, can I do that, Mike? Break it up into 2 because it's listed as one item.
But it says we could, it's worded, approval to select liaison or liaisons. So we can select two separate liaisons. So we could do that in two separate motions, I would imagine.
Well, I think this one here just asks us to, they're both included in one, as well as the operations for the tailing storage. It's included that we're doing the prescriptive grazing as well. So we make it 2 into 1. But
I can just abstain from it
Yeah.
altogether if that makes it easier.
yeah, that might be the best way. Mike, am I right here?
Yeah, that's fine. Well, Travis, why don't you just go ahead and abstain? And it's because of your relationship in the ranging community, and is that what your concern is?
Yeah, that's what I'm
But you don't know of any actual conflicts or anything?
No.
But, yeah, just go ahead and abstain, and then we can take a 4-commissioner vote on the process. It
Okay.
doesn't, you probably don't need to abstain, but
Okay,
all you've got
I'll
to
abstain
abstain.
from this one.
Okay, so my recommendation is to make Lori the liaison unless somebody else has something I'm not.
It's up to the board.
Yes, I know. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the liaison and select Lori Carson. Can I do that? Can I make that motion, Mike?
Yep. Do you mind doing it on both issues? Lori, or would you like it
No,
split up?
that's fine, that's fine, that's fine.
Okay, then I'll make the motion to select Lori Carson as the liaison for this entire item, rather than read it all, for the grazing and also for the tailing storage.
Second.
Okay, motion by Richard, a second by Ian. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, and Travis abstains. Okay, item C,
Thank you.
the approval of a request for the resignation of Ernie Rivera from the McGill Town Council.
Yes, Ernie has stepped down from the town council, and he's asking for approval of his resignation.
So moved.
Motion by Ian,
Second.
second by Travis. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Item D is discussion for possible action, the approval of the request of appointment of Danielle Jensen to the vacant seat on the McGill Town Council.
Yes, Danielle Jensen had previously applied for a seat and was interviewed by most of you on this board previously. And so she has reapplied with the vacancy caused by Ernie, and she's asking for your approval today.
Should we go out and advertise this position, or should we just, I got no problem with it, but we just advertise?
It's either way. You can do either at this point.
I don't know. I got no problem with the lady, but sometimes if we don't allow other people to apply, even if we choose her, I don't know, kinda.
Nicole, what would have been the public's opportunity to put in for that vacancy?
Upon Ernie's resignation, which I believe was about 3 or 4 weeks ago maybe, Dolores created a notice and posted it around McGill.
Oh, okay.
So McGill residents have been notified, so to speak, about the vacancy.
Then I'll take that back, because I didn't know that, so I'm good with it. So I'll look for a motion to appoint Danielle Jensen to the vacant seat on the McGill Town Council.
Motion to approve?
Motion by Lori,
Second.
second by Shane. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, passed unanimous. Item E, discussion for possible action, the approval to participate in a special joint meeting with the Ely City Council and the Ely Municipal Utilities Board and Water Advisory Committee on a date in December 2019 in the library conference room for an update from the hydrologist.
Thank you. At the time, when I wrote this agenda item, I didn't have the information yet, but I do. It is on Wednesday, December 11th at 4:30 in this very room is when they want to have this hydrologist update. So they want all 4 boards to be present to eliminate redundant presentations.
What time?
4:30 on Wednesday, which is a meeting Wednesday for us. I figured we would set up maybe the city council and the commissioners and just have the minor boards as audience members.
And you, okay, so, any further discussion by anybody in that hearing? Let's go ahead and look for a motion to approve the participation.
Move to approve.
Motion by Travis,
Second.
second by Ian. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimous. Still got 20 minutes, let's just keep rolling. Item 4, page 4, item B1, Bill Calderwood, Public Works Director. Item A is discussion for possible action, the approval to select up to 3 engineering firms for up to a 2-year term of service for the purpose of professional service administration for grants, capital improvements, and road department projects based on the evaluation of the committee's recommendation. Okay, Bill?
Good morning. For the scope of services for this, we try to include everything, and that would be from cost estimating right through project closure is what we requested for the scope. And then on the backup of the material, we have the evaluation criteria. We did not assign a point value to that. We just felt like, and SOQs that we looked at, seemed like it was about a 50-50 split if you add points to it. We chose not to, or I should say I chose not to when we advertised for it. We received 8 statements of qualifications from different engineering firms. And it was myself and Martin Trout and Naomi Harris went through and did the evaluation. We just took each line or each point one by one, and we all separately, we were together, but we all separately scored each individual, ranked each individual firm and put them in a number, and then we went back and we looked at, we did this collectively as a group for each one of these points, and we put the top 3, and then we moved to the next point. Everyone did it individually, got back together as a group and looked and see where they all scored, or where we ranked them, maybe is the way to say that. At the conclusion of this, there were 3 engineering firms that were clearly always at the top. And we intentionally did it that way because you have the opportunity to select 1 to 3 engineering firms is how it was written. And the 3 engineering firms that consistently ranked to the top was Sunrise Engineering, Basin Engineering, and Day Engineering. My recommendation after reviewing the SOQs is to go with 3 of these firms based on their ability to maybe more of a time crunch. I think all 3 can handle pretty much anything we do, but sometimes there are certain projects that need to be done in a timely manner, and that allows us some flexibility when we try and contract with these. So you need to have this project committed and be done with by such and such a date, or put out to bid or whatever by such and such a date. So that would be my recommendations for those 3 engineering firms.
Don't you think it'd be better to have 1 for all, that we can continue to go to? Or do you
The
think
problem-
every time we go to a different one?
The problem I would see with that is what, if we have it's gonna come before you soon, the senior center. We receive some funding, we wanna put it out to bid. And if we have 1 firm and they're like, yeah, we can get it done, but it'll take us a year before we can get it out to bid, and our funds are only available for a year, have that potential of losing this. So I think it's better to have select three, and then we can contract individually with that firm.
We used to do that in the past, and I thought it worked out well.
So when an opportunity
Especially
comes
with
up,
any kind of a conflict,
eliminates the
timing, and
bottleneck.
just, yeah.
Yeah, and I like the 2-year term too, so we're not locked in for a real long
Yeah.
time, but it gives us a chance to work with each of them, and, because there are a lot of projects coming up, so.
so each project that comes up will go out to bid with these 3 firms and find out which one's gonna do it. Is that
Yeah,
right?
I'm gonna work with Mike afterwards and ask for a contract, and within that contract, when can you get it done? It's my understanding now, we can look at prices, because we've selected 3, all with the same qualifications, and now we can look at pricing and things like that, which is normally what you don't do with an engineering firm, is you base it on those qualifications first.
Okay.
Just one thing, if I may, just for clarification on administrative grants, and Bill and I talked about this. As long as this process is consistent with what the granting agency requires, we'll
Correct.
use one of these. Otherwise, we may have to do another RSOQ to get an engineering firm if the granting agency will not accept this process that we've done.
Yeah,
And is one,
Yes.
yeah.
an example, for the TAP grant.
Okay. Anybody else got anything they'd like to talk over with Bill before we go ahead and approve this item? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve.
On your motion, would you label the 3 firms? Do you have it there in the backup?
Ooh,
Yeah, he just
I
gave it
did
to
not.
me.
I can
We do
give
not
it.
have it in the
Just
back.
go ahead
I
and put,
wrote it, here they are.
you can use it for his motion.
yeah.
The 3 firms are Sunrise,
Basin.
Basin Engineering, and Day Engineering.
So I'll move to approve Sunrise, partnering with Sunrise, Basin, and Day Engineering for the period of 2 years, and we can contract with them as needed when we've got projects coming up.
I'll second that.
Motion by Ian and a second by Lori. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Pass unanimous, thank you. Item B, discussion for possible action, the approval to modify park use as policy and usage fees. We discussed this at the last meeting, we're bringing it back because there seems to be some difference of opinion as far as charging for the usage of the park and other county facilities. So we went ahead and waived the fees for the pumpkin chunkin, which was a Lions Club, no problem. What is going to be our policy going forward is what we need to discuss. And right now, Bill, tell me if I'm right, it's $250 clean deposit and $100 a day to use the park.
On the backup material, on that first page, under county parks, which is Veterans, Steptoe, McGill, and Ruth, we have a single function, which is 25 people or less. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay? And there is no use fee. So if I want to have a birthday party for my grandkids at Steptoe Park, I can go up to the office with Courtney, fill out the paperwork saying that I have this, normally it's a pavilion in that case. I have the pavilion area on Saturday between 11 and 2. And then in all of our pavilions here and at Steptoe, we have like a little kiosk. So when you get there, there's a kiosk. If I show up, if I'm not the interested party to reserving it, I will get there and I see on that little board that somebody does have it coming. So we ask the people that reserve the park for that time period, just to bring your paperwork with you in case somebody else is there. We've never had conflict. It's possible it could come that I'm there before you, but I'm not sure how that could ever be resolved. The second one we have is a single function, which is $25 a day, which is the greater number, the 26 to 100. And then where there is a $250 cleaning deposit, and all we do with the cleaning deposits is we request a separate check. They bring the check to Courtney, so if there's any damages or any garbage that we need to pick up, we'll just clean it up. We will bill them for our time and then reimburse the remainder. It's only happened one time that I've been with the county, and it was at Camp Success. We had to do it was left a mess, and we cleaned it up and did not reimburse the full cleaning deposit. The second one on the list is a single function. It's $50 a day, which is 100+ people. So this kind of applies a little bit more to the parks with 2 pavilions. So if the riders come in and they want to use the Veterans Park down below, but they only need 1 pavilion and they only need half of it, half of the park. If they have over 100 people, it's 50 a day. In any of our parks, when there's more than 100 people anticipated, we request that they bring in a dumpster and portable restrooms just to keep up with the demand. Once again, it's the $250 cleaning deposit. And then in this particular instance, they have to tell us what they want. I want the east side of the park and that pavilion that's on that side, or the west side with the pavilion in it. And they just specify that. And then the fourth is the single function, it's $100 a day, and that's for the entire park. Everything else is the same, the restrooms, the dumpsters. This would be like Arts in the Park, events like that. 4th of July, they'll take the whole park. So that's our fee structure. Is there any questions on that? Okay, and then we just break it down for Little League and Marriage Field on the next page. The Youth League is $175 per season per team, and that's with lights, and they reserve the fields. We do not do cleaning deposits. For the Adult League, it's $300 per season per team. With lights, they let us know when their season's gonna be with no cleaning deposit. And the tournament use, somebody wants to put on a tournament, that's not associated with the season. So for the Adult League, if they have a end of season tournament, we don't charge them for that. But if they wanna have a tournament in the middle of the year or afterwards for a specific cause, it's $125. And with their cleaning deposit. And then the final one is any other function. We've actually had concerts like at Marriage Field, and that's $75 per day, or if you want lights, it's $100 per day. Any questions?
I have a question you might not like, but.
Don't ask it then.
Well, you know, you might not want to answer it, you more like it, but Shane brought up a really good point when we were talking about this, and the point was that all of us are already paying taxes to fund these things, and it seems redundant to charge fees. I'm just curious how you feel about that. Is this helping to fund your department and keep things running? I'm actually not opposed to the cleaning deposit. I think that's totally reasonable.
No, I don't think it brings in a lot of revenue, to be honest about it. The one thing I do like about it is I can't say, let me go back up a little bit. We have first right of refusal. We always know that Arts in the Park is the first weekend in August.
Okay.
And we honor that, kind of like we brought before you with Camp Success. But the one thing I do like about it is somebody can't come up to the maintenance department and say, hey, I want to reserve the park. Me and my friends are gonna get together and play Frisbee down there all day, and we want the whole thing, and it's free of charge, so what else, you know what I mean? And I think it kind of, at least it's somebody legit, and I don't know if that would come up, but at least it is somebody that's
Would you be
And
opposed
that's a
to?
certain amount of control.
a little bit, yeah, it's a
Well,
little.
would you be opposed to maintaining maybe an across-the-board cleaning deposit for something like that? So that they still couldn't just arbitrarily reserve it for the day. They got $250 to drop on a deposit and they wanna play Frisbee, like whatever. I don't know, what do you think?
Like I said, my only worry would be that a small group could take the thing essentially
Yeah.
all day. And the point is, it is a park, and as taxpayers, we all have the right to use it.
Sure.
You hate to see that kind of get restricted, that people figure it out, that I can just take it all day Saturday and there's no cost to me.
I hate to make decisions based on
Right.
unlikely minimals like that.
But that's not just here, that's going out to the fairgrounds too. Is that included with the pavilions and stuff on, like?
No, the
That
fairgrounds has
outside-
its own,
Yeah,
Okay.
they do their own.
and because,
I didn't know if that.
and because we've received funding from Snifflemont here, Steptoe, Fairgrounds, they are parks. They are absolutely parks, and because that's who's eligible to receive those funds. So,
And I don't have an issue with charging at the ballparks. I think ballparks, that's more of a recreational type facilities like a golf course. You pay to play. It's just the parks themselves, when we're charging, you know, if Joe Blow and his family are gonna go down and have a birthday party. Well, I mean, we got a bunch of taxpayers that are already paying to use the park to go down there and have a birthday party and make a reservation. And these special events, arts in the park, I don't really see the point. I would like to see them be able to reserve it, come up with a cleaning deposit and not pay a fee, because quite frankly, if we encouraged an event like Arts in the Park and had one every week, I'd be a really happy guy. I mean, I think that those kind of events do so much for our community. So I'd like to see us come up with a fee structure that's not punitive on those kind of types of special events, but also one where the average guy that pays his property taxes and expects a regular park to be accessible to him doesn't have to come up with another fee when he wants to do.
Which it looks like it kind of is with the 25 or
Yeah.
less, you're already there.
And we could take to move that number to the 40-50 range.
But now the 25 or less, if you don't pay, you don't actually get the lockdown reservation, correct?
No, you do have it. We don't have a way to enforce it.
That's.
If I get there, and only thing we just tell them, take your reservation sheet, it's already listed on the kiosk, and if there's problems, you can contact the sheriff's office. What they could do, I'm not really sure. It's never been an issue, but it's a Saturday, and how do you enforce that?
Well, I'm not opposed to still having to go through the process of reserving it, filling out paperwork, and having your form put up.
Yeah, I'm fine with
You don't
reserving
have
and
to pay
putting the
for it.
form up.
That would be definitely my recommendation, that allows us, because if you don't go through the process, how do we get the
Yeah, we
cleaning
don't even
deposit?
know, so, I mean, I'd even like to see us bump it up to 100 or less. Only because, you know, there's families in this community that you get a birthday party going and you're easily gonna get close to 100 people there. That's not hard.
The single fund, that's only $25 for up to 100 people.
Yeah.
I think that that's fair.
But why should they pay twice? They've already paid tax for that
That's,
park.
yeah, it's a matter of principle at this point, it's not a money thing, it's just why.
I just don't see, it's only 25 bucks. If we can come up with this same system that puts those same controls in place and gives us a cleaning deposit, it is only 25 bucks. Why do we have to double dip on them when they're already paying property tax to have that park at their disposal?
What is your usual time to, like, go out there before? Do you go out there before to do anything, and do you come out there afterwards to be sure? And sounds like
No.
we're talking mainly the Veterans
No.
Park here.
Veterans and Steptoe. I
Steptoe,
think,
yeah.
I mean, because they occur on a Saturday, and it's a policy that can't be enforced, and I'm not gonna show up on Saturday and get a head count, you know, I mean,
Yeah,
it's there
Okay,
just to
so
kind of,
most on Saturday.
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I don't think, I don't think it brings in a lot of money, and I
No, I
understand your logic.
wasn't
I mean,
thinking about that, I just meant so far as covering any cost was all. That's,
My only request is reservations need to be done, and controls need to be in there like cleaning deposits.
Yeah.
no, I agree,
But
yeah.
why couldn't we leave all of the provisions and just drop the fee schedule?
Yeah, I agree with Shane, just leave everything the same, but just drop the fee schedule.
But okay.
But have the cleaning deposits just as they are, the dumpsters, all
And the
that.
portable,
Yeah.
Yeah.
leave
All those
that the
special
same.
provisions leave completely untouched and just drop the fee schedule. So people get to utilize the parks that they're already paying to use, and they have to meet a set of requirements.
Or the signs
And then they're able to utilize their parks. These are their parks. Let's make it easy for them to utilize them. And, of course, we're gonna have some rules in place and some cleaning deposits, but let's just open this thing up.
okay, so we are not talking about anything that has to do with the fields per se.
I'd leave all that
We're
the same.
just
Now, fields I
talking-
wanna leave untouched. I'm just
Okay.
talking parks.
I checked with some of the fields in Vegas, and I think our rates were there. I checked in our park in Vegas for softball, and they offer a lot more. They drag the fields, they drag them in between games, but it's $250 per kid.
Wow.
Oh,
So you pay for that, you pay for that service in Vegas. and that was at Sunrise, I believe. It's
Yeah.
just a discussion, however you want me to bring it back to the next agenda.
Well, we have it as action.
Oh, it is? I don't know.
Commissioner
What?
Warren, as
I do-
action.
I do have a quick question.
No. That's a change.
Surprise.
Like with Art in the Park and things where power's being used. Is that, it's
Pretty
minimal?
minimal, and I mean, I don't
I
see
just,
it.
and I hate to
Yeah.
say this, I went through when we were in severe financial emergency, and I'm just conscientious that I don't wanna make sure that, we hurt the county.
Well, if we were able, if we were to table this off, would you be able to pull us just a figure of what we took in revenue in park rentals for last year?
Sure.
Well, why don't we table
Do you have
it,
that?
see what we took in park rentals, make sure it's not gonna be an astronomical figure that's gonna do some damage, and then we can make a decision when we're a little better educated.
I think you're looking at less than $500. It's really small. I mean, it
Yeah.
doesn't bring in.
And that's more
Wow.
seasonal.
It doesn't
Yeah, it's,
really
yeah,
bring-
I
there's
just
not
don't
lot
see
of
it being a
revenue
huge amount
associated.
of
It's not- And I
cash.
might be underestimating, but it's not. And one of the things I've noticed is that people recognize that if you go before the commission, they're gonna waive fees. So I've seen boards that don't waive fees.
Yeah.
I've seen boards that pay for everything out of their own pockets.
Yes.
I mean, it's kind of
We've
come
done
around.
that.
Oh, it was,
I know.
everybody
I
came
know.
to the board because they knew that they were gonna get it waived or the board would pay for it. So however you guys wanna proceed.
Yeah.
it's-
See, I brought you checks. I know
I-
this.
So we
Yeah.
haven't done like-
That's why I said, so far as the equity, it was important to me because we were covering some because we felt bad, so the board would do it or we wouldn't charge. And I would like to see just a standard and be sure that we have good backup for what we do.
Well, I think that charging the fee, it's been universal forever, and it covers us in a lot of different aspects. And when you get a private organization, and almost all of them, and it even includes birthday parties, they utilize part of the park. If I come to your store and I use part of your building, I gotta pay you for it. I have events coming up, we're willing to pay because that's what we should do. Now, taxpayer thing, we all pay taxes, but these are almost all private families, groups, whatever, they pay a fee. When you use something, and we have to clean it, we have to have employees down there to take care of it, whether it be Marriagefield, Veterans Park, that comes out of us now. Yeah, we're not in financial straits right now, we can afford to do that. I would like to see us do it on a shorter term, let's try it for 2 years. If it's not making a major impact on the county or what we're paying for employees and that stuff, then if after 2 years, we keep it in place, but let's try it. But I don't want to just generally say, here it is for everybody in White Pine County, go and pick out a part of the park, because you're gonna have conflicts. If you have to charge a fee, believe me, people are more cautious about how they take care of your park. You give it to them for nothing? they
Well,
walk
they
it.
all have to pay the $250, we're not
They've
taking
all
that
got-
away.
But what I'm saying,
Yeah,
what
there
I'm
could be a
saying,
cleaning closet, but as far as use goes, I pay a usage fee every quarter of the year to use that park, whether I set foot on it or not. Why should I have to pay a second time on a special event when it's not something that creates that much revenue? Let's encourage the utilization of our parks instead of discouraging it. This is something that belongs to the people, and they're already paying us for it.
yeah, this has been a good discussion, and I respect what everybody says. I kinda like what I think, but I'm okay with what everybody else says. But let's do it and let's be consistent. If we're gonna give it to everybody, we give it to everybody. If we're not, and that includes the arts in the park.
Yeah.
Then if we're not, we're not. But let's draw a plan of what we're gonna do. If we're gonna waive the fees, good. This commission seems like they wanna waive everything. I'm good. I'm okay with it. I just feel like charging a fee is in the best interest of the county. And it seems to me that the rest of the commission says, no, you're paying taxes, and that's good. So let's make it.
Is it possible to do what Shane, I would feel more comfortable. Like I said, I have faced Department of Taxation. This county